warm welcome to day 2 of Vogue Global Conversations, Reinvention during the Crisis. I'm Christiane Arp, the Editor-in-Chief of Vogue Germany. Vogue, in partnership with the Vogue Global Network and Vogue Runway, produce and host the digital speaker series called Vogue Global Conversations. In a time of unprecedented uncertainty, many of us are looking for a sense of understanding and direction, to think about the future of our industry in a creative and positive way. Like many of us, we at Vogue Germany are now working from home for 8 weeks. What seemed impossible, editing a magazine like Vogue via Zoom, became our new normal. We have just sent our June issue to print. Until now, Germany was in lockdown with different regulations in the 16 different federal states. BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche were shut down. Hotels and restaurants are still. Oktoberfest, the biggest folks festival worldwide with more than 6 million visitors, which is scheduled in September, has been cancelled. Department stores and boutiques were closed until now. Fashion Week Berlin and the big fashion fairs are cancelled until the end of this year. A disaster for young, not yet established fashion brands, mostly based in Berlin, a fashion scene that took so long to be accepted. But there is also the knowledge that we have to reshape our industry and have to come up with new ideas, new ways of thinking, and seeing the crisis also as a chance. As Jörg Ehrlich and Otto Dröxler, the designer duo of the established German fashion label Ode, pointed out when I asked them, we should use this new situation, the slower velocity and additional time some of us might have now, as a chance to rethink certain aspects. But we should not question the fundamental values of our business, the base, which is emotion and creativity. Every piece, every garment we create has to win primarily on this emotional level, even more than before the crisis. We all know about the magic and the power of a beautiful collection, and that our love for fashion is unchangeable. Following the previous conversations, which you can find on all Vogue websites, it is clear that we only can provide thoughts and ideas, but time is up for togetherness and creativity. Today, Emmanuel Alt, Editor-in-Chief of Vogue Paris, will talk to Valentino's Pierpaolo Piccioli, followed by Carla Martinez, our colleague from Mexico, who will be leading the discussion with Simon Pojak-Mus, Kirby Jean Raymond from Prior Moss, and Mani's creative director, Francesco Rizzo. If you have any questions during the following conversations, feel free to ask them via the Q&A section on your screen. We have some of the Vogue team online to answer them directly. And now I hand over to you, Emmanuel, and to you, Pierpaolo.
Hi.
How are you?
Hello, and ciao.
Ciao, Manuel. How are
Ciao.
you? Ciao, Christian.
Nice to see you. How are you, Pierpaolo?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very
You're good.
Oh, no.
It's a different time. We saw last time in March the 1st during the Fashion Week. Kind of surreal.
I know. Last time I saw you was in Milan. I remember that.
Yeah.
It seems like last year. It seems very far away.
Another era. It looks like another era.
So I wanted to ask you, I mean, how has been the last months for you, the 2 last months already?
As everyone, I've been at, of course, but in sketching and painting. For the very first period, it was very, very peaceful. I was starting thinking, of course, the situation outside was very difficult, but we were like in a bubble. I think we're lucky enough we can continue to do our job and we can continue to dream even if outside was a nightmare. So I could draw, I could sketch, I could think, because for me, every kind of thought starts with a draw, sketching. It helps me to think about, to reflect. And then after the very first moment, Miranda is calling us. My God. He's joining us.
Yes.
And after the very first period, we started with my team because I was video calling, Zooming. I learned everything about, almost everything, I would say,
No, I know we
about
became
Zoom and Teams and everything. Yeah. And I kind of missed the very physical contact with people. I don't think it's the same, Zooming and talking with this, but it's at the end it was working. And we started acting because yes, you can think, you can reflect, but I think you have to do something. And then I think we came out with some ideas that maybe were out of the box, because I think in this moment you have to think out of the box. You can follow your preconceived thoughts, you can follow the rules. You have to create new rules. It's like if the world is changing, and so you have to think in a different way. And now I think when you are in a very difficult moment, creativity can help to turn the situation into something different. And I'm very happy of what we created in a couple of months with new ideas about advertising campaign, new collection. I think it's very exciting what's coming out now.
Yeah. How did it change the way for you to work? How things have changed for you in your way of organizing yourself, how to work?
But actually, the way of working is completely different, of course, but it was not as bad because of the situation. For example, we were thinking this was the moment where we planned to shoot the campaign and everything, and so usually you go in the same direction. So you choose the photographer, models, casting, you choose and then we couldn't do it. But I want to arrive with a campaign for October, because hopefully it will be better. So we thought a different way of shooting the campaign. And so I think in this moment, more than ever, it's important to deliver values, to deliver what you really believe in. And so I wanted to share, of course, my values with people I already know. And I know that I already share with them the same values. And so we thought this campaign that we called Valentino Empathy, and it was kind of fun because I was chatting, WhatsApping with my friends, with Adut, Naomi, Maria Carla, Gali, Gwyneth Paltrow, Francis, all the people, but of course with each of them in a different way, because you have a personal relationship with people, so you have a kind of your own language, and so anything like already done, but WhatsApping, calling, and I involved 24 people actually in a
the list is amazing. The list is incredible.
It's amazing. 24 friends in this campaign that is going to be, because I think that in this moment you have to do your job, but this is clear. You can do anything else. I'm not a politician. I'm not a medical. I'm not a doctor. I'm not. And of course I admire them now in what they are doing, but I'm not able to do it. So the only thing I can do is doing my job and hopefully being helpful for other people. So I involve all these people in a campaign, and they will donate their image, and we'll be able to donate 1 million to the Ospedale Spallanzani of Roma. So the campaign is, of course, our job is the image, but we will be able to donate with our job. So this is great.
It's extraordinary.
I'm very happy and proud of this, not because of me, because of all the people that were so enthusiastic. So they immediately said yes. I mean, and it gives you like a boost of energy, because you feel that you did a lot with people, and important to put humans at the center of the process. And when humans, they immediately say yes. So that's great. And
Yeah,
it came
the
from
reaction.
a moment that was tough, but the moment was tough when we thought this, but sometimes from the tough situation, you can have better ideas, or
Yeah.
the ideas that comes out of the box. So
Yeah, and I think it's gonna make us think and act and work differently. What do you think things are gonna change for the future in our industry, in the fashion industry? We keep saying since few years that few things needs to change. What do you think we're gonna change? First, like maybe in a way of showing. What are you thinking for your next shows actually?
Actually, I think this since a long time. I don't think that marketing can lead in the fashion system. I think that creativity is the leading of in a fashion system. Sometimes it didn't happen in the past decades. Sometimes branding and the power of money was more of creativity. I believe in the power of creativity. I believe in the power of the image. I love fashion, you know that. And I do really believe that creativity has to be the center. The humans has to be have to be at the center of the creative process and in fashion. I don't believe that fashion is made for in order to show money. I think that fashion needs to be less competitive in order to create a system. I don't think it's important if you are in the best 10 shows, the best 10 looks, the best whatever. I think that you don't have to feel competitivity. I think you have to give quality, and quality means that you are on your own direction. You do what something really believe in for you, and I think it will be better for everyone. Maybe we'll be able to create a system system of quality other than quantity. That's very important for me. Not less numbers, more quality.
This I completely agree. Are you thinking of your couture? Are you thinking of you have in front of you the men collection, the couture, and the resort. So how are you thinking?
But for me, I feel that Valentino, of course, is a Roman house, but it's a Roman couture house, and it means that you have a certain kind of culture that is it's permeated in all the collection. And I really want to get this culture of couture as usual, because I don't think it's actually very different from the way I was working before. I hate when old people say, "Oh, this was be a moment useful to reflect." I think I already thought enough before, and if we can go in the same direction, we can follow our direction, and I feel that culture of couture is something that has to be very, very present in all the collection, now more than ever. Probably the difference is that I understood that we have to be more radical, more extreme, less. I don't want to say pleasing because I hate the word pleasing, but I think we have to be more radical for sure.
More exactly what you feel, and no efforts to please anyone.
Exactly. I also with the campaign, I understood that the idea of community is the new word. Before,
you work with a lot of models. You work with Naomi and Adut as well.
Yes, Adut. I think that community means a group of people that share same values. It's very different from lifestyle. That was the word of last decade. The lifestyle is a word that means that group of people sharing surfaces, sharing same objects. Community means sharing values. And I feel that now more than ever, we have to be communities of people that share same values. and that the values have to be the same, because we're talking a lot about inclusivity, diversity, and I don't really feel that we have to talk about this. We have to do it. We have to act. We don't have to talk about
You don't
inclusivity.
have to communicate.
We do fashion.
Yeah.
I do fashion. I know that you agree with me about this.
Yeah.
I do fashion, and so I don't want to talk. I don't want to do any slogans about
But
inclusivity.
you're not
I
communicating.
no,
Yeah.
I don't do slogans. I want to deliver my values through the images. Doing, the Black Couture show, the final picture was already there. The idea of inclusivity and diversity. It sometimes can be, kind of oxymoric to talk about Black Couture talking about inclusivity. But for me, that's the real challenge, to turn and to keep the values of a couture house, embracing values that today everyone, I think, need to face and need to embrace. And you can not do it. And if you do a fashion, I think you're relevant when you deliver messages through fashion and not through slogans.
That I mean, it's a show that I will never forget. We discussed that already when you and I at another moment, but
yes,
it was just like, I mean, it's really rare that I have tears in my eyes at a show, and that was like that show. I mean, it took me like 1 hour to really be back on what I was like. It was just like, it was spectacular. And I think, the
Thank
way you do things and the way that you don't really obviously communicate about things, but you just do them, is brilliant. Very
Thank
brilliant.
you. For me, that was a moment, to have Naomi walking the runway to close the show, and a lot of the girls were emotional because of their dreams, because they were, finally, one of them told me, "You allowed my grandmother to dream," and she was not allowed to do it, and that's really moving. When you do your job and you can give emotions to people, you are connected with it, because you don't really connect with stuff. You can just connect with people through emotions. And when you have a moment when people are really connected, you don't need to talk, you don't need to give words to explain what you're doing. It's there, and when it's really good, it's just there, and you're sharing the same energy and the same emotions. That's, for me, that was a moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. Do you think like the industry has made too much fashion already?
Fashion to me is a big word. You know that.
Yes.
I think fashion. I think in the last decade we produce a lot of stuff.
Yes.
I think fashion has to do with creativity, with ideas, with direction, with the vision of beauty. For me, I always I think that fashion is something that is about your idea of beauty, your vision of beauty, through relating to the time we're living, and so it's very personal. It's very individual, the way you think of fashion. For me, fashion has to do with creativity, with ideas, with design, with I love fashion, and for me, fashion has to do with Diana Vreeland idea of don't give them what they want, but let them want what you give them. It's a different idea.
It's still working today, right?
Has to do with emotions, with dreams, emotions, with poetry, lightness. Is something that don't have to do with stuff. We produce a lot of stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you at the moment you are rethinking your shows, right?
Yes, I do. I'm rethinking my show because, of course, I can't do a fashion show in July, but I really want to do a couture show or couture collection for sure. also because my seamstresses, and some of the girls, because you call them girls, you know, and even if they are in their 70s or their 60s, you have to call them girls, ragazze. They really want they really want to come back. They text me, when are we going to restart? Actually, we did a lot of drawings and a lot of sketching, and we want to do the collection. Of
Yeah.
course, it's going to be smaller, but the idea is that we want to do a collection in order to give dreams and that idea of fashion I really believe in. We know we are planning how doing it, but the idea is not to deliver stuff. It's not to deliver new clothes. It's to deliver new dreams and new emotions for a new moment. We are trying to reshape the idea of presenting the collection, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm really sure that I want to present a collection, and we're working on that. So
How do you manage at the moment to choose and touch your fabrics?
well, I went back to the office on Monday, 2 days ago, and you know, it was different because when you are at home, you can think, you can go faster, because even if you are at home, you can go very fast with your mind. And when you face the moment you have to go back, you have to live in a different way, in the same spaces, with the same fabrics, with you know, you have to choose. And I think it's a different way, but I really need to touch fabrics. So we all with masks. We have been very few in the last days, but I'm hopeful. I think that we can do it.
Yeah.
I'm very positive. I'm optimist. But
Because
my life says
yeah,
I grew up in this place. I'm here in Nettuno, but this is near Roma. I was a kid far from everything. For me, fashion was very far.
yeah,
And
because you're in the village where you grew up, right?
yes,
That's
I'm here where when I was a kid, I was dreaming to leave, to escape from here. And then I came back here with Simona, with the kids, and so at the end, really understood that you really need to be positive. I was far from everything, and I was dreaming of fashion, and I would never have imagined till here
yeah,
in my life. So I want to keep those, you know, enchantment, those enchanted eyes, this idea of fashion as a dream, as something that you can really, you know, it can help you, creativity and dreams. Yes, for sure. So still now I want to feel like that.
yeah. I mean, you were saying that we are doing things very fast at the moment, but at the same time, I think you're back to drawing. Like this is something that you left. You didn't have the time for it anymore, but you're drawing at the moment, right?
I do really enjoy to draw, to paint, I never stop. I have stopped it, but sometimes you don't have time enough, because
Yeah,
you have a lot of meetings talking about communication and everything, and collection, and drawing is a moment when you think alone. But I really like to share also my drawings, because it's important to share with my teams where we're going. I don't want people that just execute my ideas. I want the people are involved. That's why I really love my people, my teams, because they share with me the the everyday project and dreams, and
yeah,
not only they're not just good in execution. I feel that when you have people that just execute and they say yes, you don't really feel love and passion from what you deliver at the end. I
yeah,
think you're able to deliver emotions only if you you can live, you can deliver dreams if you dream yourself. And
I
that's why I
completely
think it's
agree.
important to involve people.
Yeah, this is
I really have.
I mean, this is what I miss the most at the moment. I'm sure it's the same for you. It's like the dynamism and the what's happening when you're working with your team, you know, face to face, and the exchange and the emulation, you know, that is like growing. It's very, and also to have a group of like opinions and everything. Like now we have to really work in a different way. It's like a one-to-one situation all the time, and it's like it's very different. It's a very
It's different.
dynamic.
I found a sort of balance, because with all this Zoom, I understood that you can have like 10 people. I didn't know before, but you can have like 10 people, but also sometimes just three of you together talking and sharing ideas, and you know, having discussion, and you can come up with something that maybe it's out of the box and can be because this moment for sure helps to think in a different way.
Yeah.
That's, and of course also in a different from a distance, but you can hear if you want people.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
I know
so
that we're gonna end not in a far moment. So I would like to know, why do you still love fashion, Pierpaolo?
because I love fashion. And I don't, maybe I don't really like the I never been very fascinated by the idea of lifestyle of fashion.
Yeah,
I really love fashion as you know,
the dream.
the history of the dream of fashion, the history of fashion. You know that I don't believe in the modern couture, on the modern something. I think that fashion is fashion and has to be related with the times, but you know,
So
I don't
you're in
think
the
that
right house. You're in the right. You're working for the right brand then.
I feel very lucky. I feel very because I am in a place where I do feel to be at home with the people I love, that share with me same passion and same. For me, it's important, passion, and to really want the same things, and not just doing a job. You know, the Mastroianni used to say, Marcello Mastroianni was an actor, a fantastic Italian actor. He used to say,
I know
if
he
you
was
didn't
married.
do this
He
job,
was married to Catherine Deneuve.
of course. And he used to say, if we didn't do this job, we had to work in our life. It's same for me. And I still feel very lucky to do this job. And I don't want to feel the pressure of the job, because also if I'm very aware of the situation, I'm very aware that fashion has also a social responsibility. I feel that it's important that even being aware of this situation, I think we have the responsibility to allow people to dream,
Yeah.
because that's our job. And
Yeah,
even if you
I mean,
feel the weight,
yeah.
I guess it's the same for you,
Same
because
for me.
even if you feel the times, I don't think you have to reflect your times. I think you have to react to your times, giving a new idea of beauty, and you have to trying to give a light at the end of the tunnel. You don't have to see the darkness. You have to find a way to go out with creativity, with talent sometimes, no?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
yeah.
talent is not a very used word, but I think in fashion you need talent. That's that's a very
That's the bait.
important thing for my
That's the bait.
yeah, I think so.
Better,
But
yes.
sometimes it's not very used as a word, talent.
No, it's true. But I feel like you, like our mission is like to keep like, I feel like lucky like you know, with our job.
Fame and talent are two different words. Sometimes fame is more used than talent, and I don't agree, of course.
No, yes, I agree. I think we have to let like the space for the other talkers. So I think Carla Martinez is gonna follow us. It was such a pleasure to see you and have like a moment with you today.
My pleasure.
I hope I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
see you very soon in real.
I want to see you soon. I hope to dance again
Yes.
soon. Because we need a party. I think we need a party. Maybe with Zoom, if we can invent a way to to
we can
play
yeah,
some.
if you want, we can have a dance tonight on Zoom, you and I. No worry, I'm fine with that.
Edit me something like that, right?
See you very soon. Lots of love. Bye bye. Bye.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao. I'm welcome, Carla Martinez.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Martinez de Salas, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Vogue Mexico and Latin America. I'm currently in Mexico City. I will be moderating the panel about reinvention during the crisis. As the world and our industry faces a new reality, there are designers at the forefront leading innovation, claiming their space and doing things on their own terms. We have much to learn to take on their new shifts and implications for the fashion industry. Join me in welcoming Kirby Jean Raymond, founder of Pierre Moss in Brooklyn, New York. Hello.
Hey.
Simone Porte-Jacquemus, founder of Jacquemus in Marseille, France.
Hello.
Hello. Bonjour. And Francesco Riso, creative director of Marni in Milan, Italy.
Hi, Carla. How are you?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
We're good. I'm good. Thank you. Hello,
Excited.
Simone. Hello, Kirby.
Hello. How are you guys?
We're a very international group.
That's good.
So we're going to get started. And the first question is for the three of you. And we want to talk about what is your personal concept of what a brand should be in 2020. So we will start with Kirby.
Actually, that's a really funny question. One of the things that, me and CB, who's the president of my company, one of the things that we constantly go back and forth on, are we hiring people that do things that would have worked in 2009, or are we hiring people that do things that are going to work well in 2029? So we're constantly future-proofing our business. And, I think right now in 2020, effectively a lot of fashion businesses are going to be put on pause, or just the way that we normally do things, because a lot of us as artists, what we do is reflect the world, and we have to live in the new world before we can actually transcribe it to the people. So I think it's going to be a pause for a lot of fashion brands. I think it's going to be a continuation of what was already started, and just kind of like a tempered flow into what the new world is. And I think in 2021, we're going to start seeing new innovation and new ways of doing things from a lot of fashion brands, including ours.
Thank you. Francesco?
Well, I've been thinking about this question quite for some time. And, I guess every brand has to find its own dynamic, its own tactic. And it's not necessarily, everything doesn't need to take one road. But I guess in these years, I've been working a lot trying to, start from the design point of view, going to the essence and make meaningful things rather than just crap. And I guess now it's really the chance. It's really the moment where we have to stop making crap and really dedicate ourselves onto meaningful things and quality. And I completely agree with Pierpaolo saying that we have produced so much stuff, and I guess 2020 must be a symbol for that.
Exactly. Simon, what do you think?
Hey, thank you for the invitation first. I'm happy we all connected.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's really hard because everyone has his own rules. I don't want to say there is there is something to follow or there is a rules. I think everyone has his own way to see fashion, and everyone has his own fashion. So I will just speak about Jacquemus. I think I did Jacquemus when I was 19 years old, like a biography. It was very biographic fashion, and I needed to do this like this. And a year ago, I personally like slowed down my company, and this was my answer to the period of today, and we will continue that way. We don't want just numbers to double. We want to put the human at the center of our company and the fashion.
Thank you. The next question is about change and changing the way we have worked traditionally. This is something that has come up in all the conversations that we've listened to. Question for Kirby. You won the Vogue CFDA Fashion Award in 2018 after you had taken a pause from your brand because of issues with investors. After you held your fall 2019 show in Brooklyn, you did an interview and said you were trying to change the way the consumer thinks about clothes. You changed the way you work, you wrote your own rules and decided to show once a year with drops throughout the year. Has this positioning helped your brand be better prepared for the crisis, given that it has had a huge impact on our retail industry? Did you face resistance from the fashion industry and specifically from retailers?
Yeah, so we ended up facing a lot of backlash once we changed and we upended the calendar. The calendar wasn't working for us, and I think Simone and Francesco would agree. Like it was just too fast paced. You know, you're constantly just trying to like chase your own tail to come up with new ideas, and we found it a lot more beneficial to create one meaningful body of work and distribute it throughout the year versus trying to release four or six different bodies of work. And then while people are still trying to like catch up with the first thing that you did, you're putting out something else. And, you know, just the way that normal consumers work, I think a lot of us, even if we work in fashion, we don't buy clothes at that alarming rate. You know, it's such an alarming rate to buy clothes in. So you have to give it incubation time. If you just think about human behavior, you need like 6 to 8 weeks before you make a purchase. Like I know, like when I'm shopping for furniture or clothes or whatever the case is, it doesn't matter how much money I have. I'm still conscious of anything that costs over a certain amount of money. I'm very conscious of that decision, and I slow it. And you know, I have to ask questions or whatever it is. And most consumers are that way. So if we're producing a spring collection, then a resort collection, then a couture collection, and it just becomes too much. So I found it a lot easier to just put all of my effort into one halo event, which were our shows in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and you know, create the biggest splash that we can and create enough content to essentially carry us throughout a course of a whole 12-month cycle and release those products on a 6 to 8 week schedule. So in smaller capsules, but it made us very troublesome for the traditional retail partner, because they have like open to buys that are, you know, specific to specific seasons, and we're saying, look, you have to buy everything at this one time. So we ended up losing a lot of retailers. We went from over 100 to under 10, and then we were back up. And then our direct-to-consumer channels, like our pop-up stores, our e-commerce channels, became essentially about 70 to 80% of our business. And then collaborations became a big part of our businesses as well. And retail dwindled. So we actually never really made much money on retail anyway. It was always like a very difficult margin to understand. And sometimes you look at it and you're like, why am I even doing this? Because you're spending X amount of money to make the clothes. Then you have to, fly to different, whether it be for us, it's like Paris Fashion Week or LA or wherever to show buyers these things. So you're spending money there, then you have to pay salespeople and all these different things. And we found it a lot easier to just kind of like focus on 10 to 20 retailers who want to be partners and give them essentially a preset product, and they know and trust that these things are going to sell because we believe in them, and we're also investing in them, and we're also giving them a guarantee that we'll take the things back. So it's really been super successful for us. we've, you know, it was a hard sell at first, and now we're, you know, with retailers that are still operating, that are still going to be operating after this, we've been, you know, approaching new ones about this and setting up shop. So our main goal and our main focus is to have a key distribution channel in every region where we're viable. So we use data like Instagram and email and everything like that to pinpoint where our fans and our customers are and make sure that we have a point of sale there. And either we do a consignment or a sell-through guarantee or something like that. And normally our apparel is doing around 70 to 90% sell-through at full price. So we had to like take a step back and, you know, remove the pressures that our former investors were putting on us and do things our way. And it's been working. And in a situation like this, we're not constantly like thinking about, oh, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for that? Because we already had like fixed expenses and fixed revenue planned for the year anyway. And if we moved a drop by 6 months, it won't change our financial dynamic.
Right. You spoke of it a bit like the movie industry, you know, which was really interesting and something I had never thought about.
Right. Also, it's like we can liken it to music or movies where, you know, your favorite artist, whether it be, you know, a rock star or a rapper, whoever, or a singer drops an album, they have to give that album time to maturate in the eyes of the public. So they have to take it on tour. They have to do press runs. They have to like, and they have to incubate it, and it takes time. And that's one of the things that we never really gave ourselves in fashion. We never really gave ourselves the luxury of time. So by me stepping away from those previous obligations that I had, I was able to give myself the luxury of time. And honestly, from a human perspective, it gave me time to really focus on who I am as a person, what I want to design, what do I want to put out in the world. And like Francesco says, I don't want to just put out a bunch of junk or trash. I want to put things out that are meaningful to me, that make sense to the customer base that we have, but also like those new and exciting things that we want to do. Those, like, you know, whether things be a different cut or a different fit or a different fabrication that we're experimenting with, we understand that incubation period takes a long time. It takes me wearing it. It takes a campaign. It takes a video campaign. It takes multiple tries in the public eye before someone says, yeah, I want that. And then I want to buy that again. It takes a lot more time than we've been giving ourselves ultimately.
Thank you. Simone, you presented in the south of France, and this past season you showed men's and women's during couture. In your opinion, how much do you think we need to stick to the traditional calendar? In yesterday's session, Simone Rocha mentioned that she designs just 2 collections a year, despite retailers asking for more. How has this new model you've approached?
Yeah, I mean, a year ago, I decided to slow down my company, and I decided to present 2 collections instead of 6, and thinking like my grandparents think, like summer and winter, not more. And I think that was a very sustainable way and a very good approach for my team. First was really refreshing for them to have time, to have time. So this was really important move for us. And I think right now it's helped us in this crisis to feel in a way better. Yeah.
You said last collection that you had designed it as it was your last. Can you talk to us a little bit more about this?
Well, you know, I'm a very sensitive person. So in this period, in this world crisis, I was feeling, I didn't know if my job was good enough. You know, every designer were feeling a bit weird, you know, with the crisis. And I thought to myself, like, oh, why I'm doing this? And I don't know, it helped me to think out of the box in a way, to also, I don't know, like just saying, oh, I'm maybe something else than a designer and I can do many things. It was really like, it helped me to be more free in a way and making good decision, not only thinking by numbers. Because when you have a brand, and I'm independent since 10 years, I started 19 years old, you think like numbers are as means success, you know, of course, because they pay your bill and they help you to design the next collection. But being able to say, oh, I can stop now and doing something else was really freedom. Yeah.
Thank you. Francesco, you have been the creative director of Marni for 4 years now. When you change a brand, what do you need to do to engage the industry and your customers?
Well, I guess it's, you know, it's been a process. It's been a long process. You know, it still is. It still is. I guess, I guess the most important thing is always to be true to yourself. And at the end of the day, a brand is an organism, and it's made by the things of its past, and it has to look in the future. So that was the work and the job that we all did at Marni from the beginning, to try to maintain alive the old lovers, but also to propel towards the future, and to create new ideas, new values, new concepts, and somehow to develop concepts that were already there, like expanding the vision of the brands into, for instance, like the way the brand has worked with communities, and the way still up to now we also work with communities. So I guess that's the basic.
Thank you. We have heard Pier Paolo spoke about it now, the importance, you just mentioned it, the importance of community. I'll let you answer, Francesco, since we
yes, I mean, I must say, when you know, when the lockdown started, it was very hard at the beginning, especially because the work that we do at Marni is very sensorial, is very about tactile perception. It's mostly about emotions, and in these years, I've worked a lot on the idea of exalting each one's hand, and the work that comes out through gestures, through the touch, and so the first days were quite unstable in that sense, but then we all got this challenge, and we started working from home, literally making things from our houses, from our rooms, with whatever we found, and the team has been incredible. There were people doing tie and dyes in their bathtubs, or me, I was draping, or I was painting on my walls, literally, and that sense of togetherness was very inspiring, and I immediately decided to reach out to all the people that have worked with us in these almost 4 years, musicians, artists, actors, directors, photographers, and we started this incredible sort of like epistolary work, literally like sending letters to one another, almost like, I guess, in the times of the war. And it's been so inspiring. I mean, everyone has participated, and I still every day receive letters and words, and I'm really hoping for this to be, you know, the lead for the next collections to come. The words of the friends, of the team, of, you know, and these are served not just as a testimony of the moments that we're living right now, but actually to stay motivated, to be attached to the love for what we do, and for you know, each one giving the interpretation of what Marni is. And yeah, so I'm very looking forward to use this collective poem very soon.
Thank you. It sounds amazing. Kirby, people keep talking, and we spoke about going back to normal. And we know that the new normal will be nothing similar to our lives before COVID until there is a vaccine. A new generation of designers greatly admire your work and your community. How do you think fashion will change if people cannot come together as we used to? How has your community changed as a result?
You know, that's a, you know, I think more, if there's no vaccine, I think we have bigger problems than fashion. And
Right.
that's the part that, you know, really scares me. I really am hopeful. You know, I follow the news constantly. I think we kind of all get stuck between, do we check the news or do we not? And unfortunately, I can't shake it. So like I'm constantly reading, as I always do, and I know that there's over 1,000 companies right now developing a vaccine. It's just a matter of timing. And I think there's going to be a lot of considerations. This, you know, just think about just the mundane things that we do as it pertains to fashion, how you shop, right? Like when you go to a store, how do you rifle through clothing? You touch things, and you know, touching things is how you spread this virus. So what does that mean for retail, and how does the store look? How does clothing get showcased on a runway if makeup artists are afraid to touch models? You know, are there going to be heat sensors that are going to check for temperatures upon entry of different fashion events, whether they be pop-ups or stores or runway shows, etc.? And I think that's like our temporary reality. Until there is a vaccine, we have to adjust. And in that meantime, like, you know, I don't have precise answers, but I do think the gift that we have now in 2020 versus, you know, the Spanish flu or you know, other plagues, is that we have the gift of technology and digitalization. So if we look at just the opportunities that present themselves on the internet, it's never going to be the same. But we can do a combination of in real life events with smaller crowds and more public facing digital events simultaneously. So like these things are happening at the same time. And, you know, from a designer's standpoint and from a brand standpoint, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Because if you think about it, like, you know, everyone on this Zoom has had really big shows, but even if your biggest show got you 5,000 people, it's not the same as like being able to live stream a portion of it and having people engage and comment and things like that. So I think a lot of times when we did in the past, when we streamed things, it was very passive. It was just like someone's holding up a camera while your runway is happening. I think now the focus and the attention is going to be towards creating that digital content primarily, and then the in real life event, and like how people are, how much the acquisition cost to get people to the event is gonna shift. So I don't know if that makes sense, but we'd be spending more money on the digital side of things and more resources on the digital side of things than actually bringing people through the door physically. So that's, you know, there's a lot of questions, but I do think that this is going to be our condition for at least 2.5 years, just from like a basic rationale standpoint. And we have to do our part as empathetic human beings to curtail the spread of the virus by being smart and safe, and not enticing people to gather in large places and possibly getting themselves sick or reinfected.
Thank you. Simone, you've always been a designer that is very much in touch with your consumer, and you've built a wonderful community. You manage your own Instagram account and have a very big following. During this difficult time for a lot of people and working remotely, how have you managed to stay engaged with your customer and your community?
I think it was natural and very spontaneous. I didn't plan anything, or it was not a marketing plan to be close. I mean, I've been doing this since I'm 14 years old, speaking, sharing poetry, and sharing things, not only fashion, not only product, but sharing things I love, things who makes me happy. So I didn't change, and this, I think, make this crisis make a stronger relationship with my community, and is good. Yeah.
Great. Our fourth question is about reinventing the way you've presented yourselves to the world. Francesco, Marni has done wonderful collaborations and markets, working with artisans around the world. When we spoke, you told me a little bit about the community of artisans in the Miao region in China. Can you tell us more about this? And
yes,
thank you.
yes, absolutely. It's funny and unfortunate because it doesn't seem as relevant as now after the pandemic. But last year I went to China in this incredible region in the middle of nature, and I started this project with this Miao community, and we were supposed to present this collection in March, which of course was cancelled, it was an incredible project. It still is. It's there in our stock, waiting to be shown in the right moment. But it really taught me something about time, and that was the point of the whole idea. I mean, these communities, they work they are embroiderers, and I mean, I've met women making embroidered jackets, and they took almost like 6 years to finish even one jacket. So time is really a thing for them. It's a different thought concept for their culture, where for us it's a consequential line. For them, time is in layers, almost like a symphony, and it really talks about their history, the way they embroidery, and it talks about preservation, and so we've worked with more than 400 embroiderers, making this beautiful project that had been put on pause, and yet we have understood the value of time, and the way somehow we're so speed up in our industry, and actually their way and their craft is so slow, and the beauty of actually trying to protect it. So so I guess it's I mean, I'm still, you know, I'm still very curious on how we will be able to transmit this this idea, and to show this collection, which will come out, I guess, in the next few months. But I'm more and more curious on, you know, on somehow on working locally, you know, and try to understand the beauty of certain places. We are in a moment where right now we can't really travel, and I guess more than ever, thinking about enforcing something that exists in such a place like China was the challenge and the beauty of that collaboration. I didn't want necessarily to bring a collection to China from Milan, you know, but the challenge was to work with the people there. And I guess this is going to be part of our future ideas and concepts. Try to really more and more find the beauty of the places where we can go. And yes.
Right. We spoke about this because you have such a huge presence in Asia. So
yes, exactly. So there was this chance of doing something in China, but I really didn't want to make an extra show just for the sake of it. And so the idea came natural to, okay, let's collaborate with people from China and build up a dialogue together. And it came out a really beautiful project. And yes, and I'm very curious to see what it means for the future to apply this sort of philosophy for the brand.
Right. This idea of slow fashion is something that people keep bringing up.
To try to protect whatever craft that it's embedded with value and with time. Last show, we presented these Venetian tapestries in parts of our clothes, and they take hours to be made, and it's definitely against you know, the normal float of fashion is been going lately. But I guess it's fundamental to protect these kinds of craft, especially in countries where those crafts now more than ever are risking to disappear from face of earth. You know, with this crisis, these crafts and these people who makes these kind of things in Italy as well, like small laboratories that have incredible hands, are very much at risk. You know, so it's very important that our strengths are, you know, also directed onto these realities.
Thank you. Simon, you recently shot a digital campaign with Bella Hadid and Barbie Ferreira over FaceTime. Just another example of how quick you are to react to change. Was this the first time you've shot a campaign this way, and what was the process like?
Yeah, it was the first time, but it was just something very easy to do, I think. And I was feeling that everyone will jump on this idea, so we try to be the fastest as we can. But yeah, it was fun. It was just we sent clothes, and I called Bella and Barbie, and we tried to find like poetry. You know, it was hard. FaceTime and poetry are not going together, but I was showing like poses to Bella, and my best friend Pierre-Ange Carlotti was taking picture of them, and was just a way to say like it's still possible, you know, and to send like good message, like it's still possible to share positivity and share fashion.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it felt very natural for Jacquemus, and when you looked at it on social media, it felt very much part of, like it wasn't forced, you know, like very much part of the brand DNA and what you've been doing.
It was not forced, yeah. It was like a friend shoot kind of, and I was really stressed. I mean, I was like, okay, how are we gonna manage that? Like, I don't know, you know, like 3 people on set, on viral set, and it was so fun. It
How
was
long
really,
did it
really
take
fun.
you?
1 hour and 2 hours with Bella.
Yeah, so not a whole day of work, no, not like an 8-hour.
Well, it's different because you have to prepare like Bella move furniture of her own place. Barbie did the same. Like they filmed their own place, and we like, because you can't react on the moment, so everything have to be super prepared. So everything, even to have the glasses, was a strong idea, you know, like it's complicated. If she have the wrong glasses, it does not gonna work. So it's not the same than on set where you are very spontaneous. It was a bit okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like it was weird, but it was fun.
Right, it looked fun. Thank you.
Thank
Herbie,
you.
in April, you released your first video that you directed and wrote, Sue Me. Can you tell us a little bit more about this project and why it was important for you to release at this time? Was that planned to always come out in April, or did you?
No, no, that was a process. Wale, Sue Me is a song off Wale's album. When Wale was recording the album, he played me the song, and I was like, this needs to be the first track on your album. I was like, this sets the tone. And he knew how much I loved the record. And when he, his record label has sent him a treatment for what they thought the video should feel like. And he sent it to me via text. And I was like, if you give me 15 minutes, I'll write you a better one. And it took me an hour, but I wrote it. He sent it over, they got it approved. And I hit up a friend of mine, Carmen Cuba, to help me cast it. And she got Lucas Hedges to do it for me. And Lucas is from Brooklyn, so you know the concept of the video is we're switching places, and you know it's funny because I live where Lucas grew up now, and that was shot where I grew up, and I think the video is very important it was a very important thing to show, especially now. Like it was originally meant to come out, I believe, in February or early March. And, you know, because of everything, it was just kind of in the air and indefinite. But it was super important to release now because, as we're seeing with Corona, how it's affecting disparagingly Black and Brown communities, minorities, underserved communities at a more alarming rate than any other community. And it doesn't matter if you're in America or in Italy or in Spain or other epicenters. It's ravishing through communities that are poor. And in America, those communities tend to be Black and Brown. And what I wanted to display is like a mirror to ourselves, so that we can see, for Black and white people to see, like what the reverse looks like and how absurd it is. And we took the chance of adding the video to the end, which is of a real life prisoner who's currently locked up in Elton prison in Ohio. And he has a year left on his sentence, and his cellmate was essentially dying from Corona, and he caught the whole thing on an illegal cell phone. We had to get permission from his family members to include that into the video, but it was super important because I didn't want it to just be a satire of what life can be. I wanted to show what the realities of disparagement really looked like. So it's my first video. It's my first music video. It's probably my last music video, but it's not my last thing that I'll be directing. I've pivoted a lot towards like creating content and creating film and stuff like that. And, kind of like the through line to everything that I do, whether it be in fashion or film, is always holding up a mirror to ourselves and letting us see our own behavior and like looking at the absurdity of it in from a human perspective, and like trying to get us to think empathetically about each other. And I think right now, more than ever, it's super important. Governments are asking us to wear masks, and it's not for our own safety, but it's for the safety of others. And like, if you lack empathy, we'll never get out of this. So it's important to, as we're creating work as creatives, to try to keep that in the back of your mind, and hopefully, more artists follow that.
Thank you. So we can, as you can imagine, have received hundreds of questions from our audience. So we chose a few and would love to get your answers. Francesco, the first question is for you, and it's from the United States. And the question is, how does a brand navigate reinvention without alienating the brand's DNA and former customer base?
Well, I guess it's really stay true to the DNA of the brand. That's one of the most important things that we try to work on every day. I mean, staying true to yourself, and also staying true to the DNA of the house, and that's part of our focus every day.
Thank you. Kirby, this question is from Mexico. What do you think will happen with department stores? What will they need to do, reinvent, and in what way?
That's a really hard question. I've had ideas about this for a long time. I think department stores, from my personal opinion, because that's all I can give you, need to perform and act more as real estate and more like the way art galleries do. So like really incubating designers' work, highlighting them, using what they have, which the only thing that department stores and people with physical real estate have that brands don't is the physical real estate, is the customer base that's localized. And it's their responsibility to, from a business perspective, for them to highlight and incubate those brands and like really introduce their world to something that they've discovered. And I think that's something that Barney's used to be really great at. I used to work at Barney's when I was 16 years old. And one of the things we constantly did was every time a new brand came in, we were like, I remember in Goyard, we had like a whole thing about Goyard, like a week-long training about Goyard and how you know, where it was made and why it wasn't to be compared to Burberry, and why it was special, so that we were armed with those tools. And I think that needs to come back more. You know, so there's some really great stores that do that already, like Essence, like Totokayo. But I think that's going to be the way that department stores have to operate. And I think they need to give more opportunities to young brands, even if it's just giving them the real estate on the floor and letting them own their inventory and own their own spaces, and not expecting any type of quid pro quo immediately, where they can allow these small brands to incubate themselves, and then as they get bigger, or like, you know, they start to become more commercially viable, then the stores can buy into them and like actually invest into them. But I think a phase one approach is just to give them the real estate and give them the space on the floor so that they can do their thing and prove themselves that they're worthy of being bought by their buyers, by the commercial buyers, and grown as a business. So I think ultimately, if department stores want to stay relevant, they need to take the art gallery approach and go and more into new and exciting ways to introduce their localized customer to new talent.
Right, thank you. Simon, this question is from France. Is it still relevant for brands to expand their collection range into lifestyle, for example, or should they focus on real DNA core items?
I don't have the answer. No, seriously, I'm not a journalist. I'm doing my fashion with my team, and I don't want to say like thing to do not do. I mean, who I am. So.
Right. Well, you
have another question, maybe? I don't know.
Yes, I do have another question. I have so many questions. What steps should we take? This question is from India. What steps should we take as designers to control fast fashion and to move towards a more sustainable environment? This we spoke about a bit in our phone call.
And for me, there is not a war against fast fashion. I do think that there is a way that people consume. It's a problem. Like, people consume fast fashion as they consume our fashion. So
right.
I will not say like, oh, everything is because of fast fashion. This is too easy to say, I think. And fast fashion for me is maybe a good fashion for someone else. So right. I think we should re-educate everyone, maybe, if we want the thing to change. And yeah, I think we should like speak more about our process, speak more about like our factory, and making more sense. And I think it's our problem. You know, it's not only the problem of the fast fashion; it's a general problem.
Right, because how we were saying that what you know, a $100 dress to someone might be an investment piece, right? And that's exactly. Relative to different people.
Exactly, and it's too easy to say, oh, this fast fashion, but I think it's the way we consume things first, so it's our fault. Yeah.
I think this is also a question that Anna spoke to John Galliano about, that was really interesting to hear him speak yesterday. But this question is from Canada, and I'd love to hear your thoughts from the three of you. I still value the importance of a runway show. What are your thoughts? Simon, do you want to start?
I start? Yeah. I love runway show. I think there is a place for I mean, it's a show first. It's like a dance show. There is emotion. It's not only a lookbook. It's not at all a lookbook. I never seen my show as a lookbook. I've done show with horses, with on the beach, in a field. I always see show like a dance moment. I think like Francesco and a lot of designers see show as an experience, as a way to express themselves. Some of my show were the best moment of my life, not because of the applause or the success on Instagram, but the emotion. I was crying backstage with my family. I was crying with my team. I had so many good emotion. Maybe I'm going to find this emotion in somewhere else, and that's very challenging. But I love show, so I believe in show and the emotion on the moment of the show. Yeah.
Thank you. Francesco?
Oh yes, I mean definitely. I mean it's such a practice that we have to protect. I mean, for sure, we should reconsider the calendars because it has become so intense, and probably it would be wise to reduce and to really make it as a happening, because in a way, shows have also become sometimes very cold, engaging. People continuously on the phone rather than watching a show. So I guess we really have to make it relevant again, and emotional and intimate. I'm, you know, in this past week, I've been thinking a lot and working with the team, and thinking what's going to happen in September. It's like it's really hard to have ideas and to think. But I guess for next collections, we will try to make four different simultaneous happenings in 4 cities as sort of like puzzle, happening in 4 places in the world, as because people can't travel, but we will make little things. But just like the idea of being there and having been able to see the clothes, it's something that we cannot really avoid. I don't believe in the virtual show expression. I mean, I would rather make emotions through a video or a picture or something that engages immediately with you know, with our lovers and with the consumers. And so I guess we have to protect, and we will get back to normal. Maybe the size of it has to be reconsidered.
Thank you. Kirby?
You know, for the past few years, you kind of keep hearing Fashion Week is dead, Fashion Week is dead. But I think that's coming from people who are established and don't realize how hard it was to break in the first place. And all of us wouldn't be here without a Fashion Week. So I do think it's very important, because the halo designers, like, you know, the big established brands, having a show at a given week gives an opportunity to smaller designers to like kind of piggyback off that time frame, so that when you know editors are going to be in town, you know buyers are going to be in town, you know press outlets, fans of fashion are going to be in town, good customers, whoever, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of like grab that trickle. So I think about it in 2 different prongs. Like there's the approach where everybody just does their own thing, and you know, Simone can drop in February, and then I come and drop a collection in August, and there's like no unification on the calendar, and that could be really dangerous for small designers trying to break in. Where's it going to be their part to fit in at if we are so like all over the place, if we don't have like a constructive week. But I do think the concept of the fashion show has to change a lot, because a lot of times it's been predatory to small brands, because a lot of times what's happening is we're just essentially creating free content for publications and things like that, and we're not getting any ROI on those shows. So those shows are not really bringing you back the dollars that you want, and a lot of us get into the rut of constantly trying to like just keep a show just so we can stay in the conversation, but are not looking at what it does for us financially. So I always thought that system was broken anyway, and we've been upending it on our end, and making it more consumer facing, and figuring out how we can monetize the experience that we bring, because our shows are very multi-dynamic. So going forward, we have ideas that we're going to set forward, that we've already started working on, but I am in no rush to do anything for 2020. I kind of just want to like let everything subside. And, you know, as I've said multiple times in the past with multiple interviews, I'm on nobody's schedule. And even though the once a year thing is kind of what people thought, I wasn't planning on doing one this year anyway. So it's just a matter of like when we feel like it. But when we feel like it still has to happen amongst other shows happening, so that we're not the one to completely break the entry point that's so important to young designers and for emerging artists.
Thank you. I think people really, this question has fascinated everyone. Well, it's 9:20 and we spoke quite a bit, and unfortunately we don't have time for more questions for our audience, which there are so many, but I want to thank each one of you, Kirby, Simone, Francesco, from Europe and New York, for taking the time to be with us today. This is really invaluable for our audience. It's so important for them to hear from designers like yourselves during this time. This is the first time I met the three of you virtually. Yeah. So I've been to all your shows. So I'm very much looking forward, not sure when that will be, to meet you in person. You've really been very inspiring, the three of you, to speak to, and I'm sure our audience can agree. So thank you so much, and keep doing the amazing work that you've done.
Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our audience. Thank you, Anna, Emmanuel, Pier Paolo, the Vogue Global Network team, and everyone who joined us today for Vogue Global Conversations. I hope you enjoyed hearing from the designers. A reminder that all of our sessions are recorded and post to Vogue websites around the world, so please log on to your country's website and share. Thank you. Bye.